Okay, let's talk about the GMEA All-State 910 Concert Band Mallet Etude. So this one leaves kind of a lot to the imagination as far as phrasing. I mean, there are a lot of crescendos, decrescendos, things like that. They don't necessarily tell you specifically where to go. But we can infer quite a few things, and we'll add some phrasing as well that will help you be successful and also sound musical. Let's take a look at the roll section. So on paper, you've got Adagio 76. So if I follow what's on paper, it's going to sound like this. But the truth is, there's a lot more to uncover there. There's a lot of ways that you can make it sound musical. I like to add a bit of rubato, and I also like to exaggerate some of the dynamics and change my roll speed based on the dynamics so that I can kind of add a little bit of emphasis. So if I were to take it without a met, which I should preface, first you should practice it with a metronome so you know what you're going for, and you should know how long the notes actually are. A lot of students sometimes choose not to practice this with a metronome at first, and what happens is your roll lengths get too long or too short, and they just don't really match what's going on. Okay, you still have to have the framework of the rhythms that are written for you. But we can add a little bit of push and pull and a little bit of rubato, which would sound something like this. So if you'll notice, what I'm doing is when I crescendo, I'm increasing my roll speed, and when I decrescendo, I'm decreasing my roll speed. That's going to help me support the dynamic that I'm trying to achieve. I like to put a couple of breath marks in there. A short one after measure 2, that dotted half. So I'm rolling on that space. Then I like to go back down the piano. Up the forte, back down. Little extra emphasis, and slow it down. Put a little retard there at the end. Okay? So if we exaggerate and push and pull these phrases just a little bit, it helps us sound a little bit more musical. And if we change our roll speed based on the dynamic that we're playing, getting faster if we're getting louder, or getting slower if we're getting softer, it's just going to help benefit you musically. So let's talk about the fast section. So at the beginning here, they are descriptive enough. You've got a mezzo forte, then you got a crescendo up to what we assume is probably forte, and then a decrescendo down to mezzo piano. One thing I like to do with these is follow. If I'm going to go for some basic dynamics, I'm going to follow the line. So if I'm if I'm going up, I'm crescendoing, and if I'm going down, I'm decrescendoing. Now that doesn't always work, but as far as just a basic framework, that's something that can kind of at least begin your journey with phrasing this. We don't want everything to be straight, like. Yeah, that's a little vanilla, right? So I like to start just under the dynamic and then come up to the dynamic. Okay? And then I come down just a little bit before that crescendo, end up louder. If you tell, I'm actually going down and back up on that first line. I kind of see that as an arrival point, then come down, back up to louder. Okay? Next measure is pretty straightforward. Okay? Then we got mezzo piano phrase. You can still shape it some. So start here, go down, up, then down to an implied piano there. When I get to measure 12, I'm going to still imply the piano. I'm actually going to crescendo pretty quickly on the beat 3 of measure 13. So starting on that measure. So I like to put a little bit of oomph on it, and then when I get to those middle 2 beats, still put a little bit more energy in there before I start the decrescendo. Like that. And then once I hit the decrescendo, back down the piano. Little oomph on that accent. Then I like to, again, start a little lower and then end up a little bit above, maybe mezzo piano. But when I get here, I need to make sure I don't accent these because what's coming up is a sudden forte, right? So it's pretty much a subito forte there. So as I play that phrase, I can come up a little bit. And then that's a surprise. Following up to the triplet run, again, big, explosive. Okay. Then I'm back down the piano. Back up to forte. Back down. And down again. A couple things I want you to watch out for. This actually caught me off guard when I was sight reading it. Measure 22, the of 3 is a C. You're tempted to go or follow the line, but make sure, right, contrary motion. Okay, so make sure that you're paying attention to that. There are a couple of twists and turns in these 16th note runs. Just be aware of what the notes are. Don't assume that it's always scale-wise. Don't assume that it's one thing or the other. Make sure that you're actually reading through all of those and make sure that you're playing the correct notes. And then just have some movement with the phrases. The biggest thing with all these mallet etudes is having movement with the phrases and not just being stale and staying in one dynamic. If you choose to follow the line dynamics or if you choose to kind of add your own phrasing and punctuations as you go, that's really, to me, the most important thing. At the beginning being rubato, and then in the faster section, just you following what the clear phrases seem to be, which again, they give you some, but in between those, we don't want to be stagnant. We want to move. Remember, should you make it to round 2, these judges are going to hear 85, 90 of these, so what's going to make you stand out? It's finding ways to be musical off the page, not just play what's exactly on the page. We want to do that in snare and timpani too, but it's especially important in mallet. So, hope this helps.